as we speak. Okay, so we're going to have a review of the things that we have learned up to today from yesterday's lecture. We simply say that in economics, there are two basic laws. One of them is the law of demand, and the second one is the law of supply. Right? The law of demand simply says that as the price of an item goes up, the quantity demanded will decrease, but when the price comes down, the quantity demanded goes up, which simply means that the lower the price, the more we buy, the higher the price, the less units we buy. On the other hand, the supply say that when the price goes up, the quantity supply is going to go up, and when the price comes down, the quantity supply comes down. Here is from the perspective of the producer. If I can make more money when the price goes up, I'm going to make more. But if the price comes down, then I'm not making enough money, then I'm going to produce less. Okay, so those are the things that we have learned. Then we discuss that the demand is your willingness and ability to buy certain things. So this is your price, this is the quantity. If the price is $10, we say that you will buy, let's say 2 units, but if the price drop to 8, then you're going to buy more units. So remember this is going to be on the exam on Monday. Price changes quantities. In this case, a change in price changes the quantity. For example, at a price of 8, I'm buying 3, but if the price jumped to 10, I actually move this way and I'm going to buy 2 units. So there are movements on the same line. So prices make movements on the same line. Then we know that there are other things that can change the demand curve. Right? Can anybody recall the list of the things that can change the demand curve? Changing
preference or taste.
I didn't hear you, sir.
Consumer taste.
Yeah, changing taste. What else?
Income.
Changing income. What else?
Expectations.
Expectations. Changing the price of other item and also the number of consumers. So again, very simple. So let's assume this is you at a price of 8, you're buying 3 units and now your income goes up, you like this product, well, you're simply going to buy more units because now you can afford it. You don't care about the price because now you have higher income. So now you're probably going to buy, let's say 6, just because your income goes up. If you lost your income, it will be the other way around. And you expect the price of something to go up tomorrow, then you go ahead and buy the items today. So that's how demand look like. Right? And then we discuss the law of supply, and the law of supply is an upper sloping curve. This is the producer, this is the price, and this is the quantity. If you only want to pay me $2, I'm only going to sell you 2 units, but if you give me 4, I'm willing to sell you 6, and if you give me 6, I'm willing to give you 8, and so on. So the higher the price, the more units I'm willing to sell you because I'm going to be making more money. So if presently the price is $4 and the price jumped to 6, immediately consumers are going to try to make more units, right? Because now they're going to be able to make more money. So they increase the productivity from 6 to 8. So they move from 8 to point B, which now simply means they are going to be selling more units. So again, remember, prices changes quantity demanded or quantity supply. So in this case, a change in price changes the quantity supply. Now, there are other things that can change the supply curve. I think that's what we were discussing yesterday. Number 1 was, for example, technology. Technology can increase the supply or decrease the supply. Number 2 was changes in factor cost. Now, for example, it is an increase in the raw material you are using. Think about this. Let's assume that this is you. At this point, you are selling 6 units at a price of 4. So that's where you are now. You are making, I don't know, these are widgets, and you need plastic to make widgets. Now the cost of plastic just dramatically increases. So now you as a producer, your cost of production is going to be more expensive. So now you're going to produce less, right? So we move from SO1 to SO2 simply because your cost of producing have actually increased. So changing factor cost. Number 3 was, can somebody remember what 3 changed the supply curve? Expectations. you don't expect nobody's going to buy your product during the Christmas season, then you don't produce more. But if you expect that the Christmas season is going to be very successful, then what you do, you increase the productivity, right? So that's expectations. Changes in the price of other products. So now this is you. You're a tomato producer and your neighbor is a strawberry producer. So this is you. Let me see if it happened again. My computer just froze. So let me see if I can make it work. I'm going to, hold on for a second. Okay, I'm going to try to come back into the screen. Okay. Okay, so the last thing that we were discussing was things that can actually change the supply curve. And I say in many cases, it will be a change in the price of another product. Think about this. This is you. You're growing tomatoes and your friend across the street actually is in the business of growing strawberries. You are making money. You're selling tomatoes at, let's say, at 50 cents, and your neighbor over here selling strawberries at 125 a unit. I'm just gonna make X number of units you're selling. Doesn't really matter. So this is you. You are happy, you're making money. Your neighbor is also happy making money. But then you realize that for some reason, your neighbor this season, there was an increase in demand for strawberries and the price of strawberries went up like crazy. So now your neighbor is making a killing in the strawberry market. So then as a result of what you see, the following year, you're going to decide to do something else. Forget about growing tomatoes. What I'm going to do is grow strawberries. So then the supply of tomatoes on the market is going to decrease because you are no longer going to plant tomatoes. And then the supply of strawberries in the market is going to increase because you achieve your productivity to the growth of strawberries. So again, we're trying to understand simply how changes or factors that can change the supply curve. And the last thing that we discussed in class was also that the number of sellers can have an impact, an impact in the supply curve. Then in conclusion, we discussed the issue of how prices are determined. We just simply say that prices are simply determined by the simple forces of supply and demand. This is the price. Let's say it's $20. We are buying 100 units. If consumers like this product more, they're going to buy more. Demand goes up. And if demand goes up, when, as you can see, we're going to go into a new equilibrium and prices are going to go up simply because people now are buying more of this product. On the other hand, if people no longer like this product and the demand decreases, well, then prices are going to decrease, right? So that's the thing that we're discussing. So now today, we're going to continue with this knowledge and try to understand how you yourself actually make the decisions when you go to the store to buy the things that you like, okay? So let me go ahead here, right here. And now I'm actually going to use the textbook just as a springboard to go into my lecture. Now, what is the things that impact your demand? What are the things that impact your demand, okay? And we already know that your demand can be impacted by your taste, by your income, by the expectations, and the availability of other products. So then the demand curve, as you already know, is a downward sloping curve. And you go to the store and you make decisions on what you're going to buy based on what you think, is going to give you the greatest satisfaction, which simply means this. I have a limited budget. And because I have a limited budget, every time I go to the store, I make decisions of where am I going to spend my money. So there's one product, two products, and three products. Now, how do you allocate your money? In economics, we say it's very simple. Individuals, because they have a limited budget, they're going to make decisions on what they think is going to give them the greatest satisfaction, right? For example, if let's say that this is burgers, this is fries, and this is a Coke. The burger is $4, the fries is $2, and a Coke is $1. So if you want to buy all the 3 items, you're going to spend $7. Well, but if you have a limited budget, let's say you only have $4, then you have other choices. Or let's say you have $5, you have different choices. If you have $5, you can buy 2 fries and a Coke, or you can buy 5 Cokes, or you can buy 1 burger and 1 Coke, right? So in other words, there are different choices. So what you have is $5. How are you going to spend your money? And it's a decision that you're going to make, right? I assume, you know, that if it was me, I'd probably buy me a burger and I'd buy me a Coke, right? Probably somebody like you say, well, I'm just gonna buy me a burger and I'm gonna get a glass of water and I'm gonna save $1. Or I don't know, somebody different than me will say, hey, I'm just gonna eat fries and a Coke. Or somebody say, hey, forget about it, I'm just gonna drink just 5 drinks. So then the question is, how do we make decisions of what we spend our money? And the answer is very simple. We spend our money in those items that we believe are going to give us our greatest utility. Okay. Utility is what is we known as pleasure or satisfaction. In other words, we spend our money on what we believe is going to give us the biggest bang for my buck. For example, some of you go to the restaurant and you order your meal and you never order a drink. And the reason you don't order a drink is because you believe that a drink for $3 is just too much, it's not worth it. So you only order your meal in a glass of water. It's not that you like water, just simply that you're trying to save money by just ordering the meal, you know, because to you in your mind, the $3 for a glass of Coke is just not actually worth it, okay? So then every time we consume something, we get pleasure and we get satisfaction. Now look at this. Let's assume that Nathaniel has been very hungry for a couple of days, right? And after 2 days, he goes, you know, to McDonald's. And he's going to eat 1 burger. Now, assuming that we can measure the utility or the pleasure that he's going to get from this, from 0 to 10, okay, this is the pleasure he can get from 0 to 10. He has been without food for a couple of days. Now, how is this burger going to taste? On a scale from 0 to 10, how much pleasure he's going to get? Probably a 10. Okay, give me a break, guys. 3 days without food. Now a burger is going to taste like heaven, right? So the burger is going to taste like a 10. Now he decides to go for the second burger. How's the second burger going to taste? On 0 to 10, 10 being the highest satisfaction. How many units of pleasure he's going to get? I'm asking.
Probably like a 5.
6? Yeah, 5.
Okay, in other words, it's going to be something, but it's never going to be a 10. Right? It's going to be a little bit less. So let's just simply say it's going to be a 7. Right? And then he decides to buy another burger because he still has money and he's still hungry. The third burger definitely is not going to be as good as the first one or the second. Probably this one is going to give him 3. Now he's ready to leave and I say, come on, just stay here, eat another burger, I'm going to pay for it. So now I'm going to pay for his burger and he decides to eat the 4th burger. How much pleasure he's going to get out of this burger?
1.
Probably a 1, right? By this point, he's already full. Come on, I'll pay for the 5th burger. Go for the 5th burger. How much pleasure he's going to get out of the 5th burger? I think the only thing he's going to get is diarrhea, right? He's going to get a stomach pain. In other words, that 5th burger is not going to give him any pleasure. It's not going to give him any satisfaction. If anything, it's possible that it's going to be negative. It's going to be painful to eat the 5th burger. So then I'm using this illustration to explain a very simple concept of economics, basic laws. And the laws is simply this. Every time we consume something, we get pleasure or satisfaction. But the more we consume of the same product, the additional pleasure or the additional satisfaction tend to decrease. Now my total pleasure is increasing because look at this. How much pleasure am I getting when I'm eating 1 burger? My total pleasure is what? 10 units of satisfaction. How about when I'm eating two units? How much pleasure am I getting? My total pleasure. The first one gave me 10. The second one gave me what? 7 additional. So now when I'm eating 2 burgers, I'm getting 17 units of satisfaction. Then when I eat the 3rd one, it increased to 20. The 4th one, it increased to 21. And then when I went to the 5th burger, it actually decreased down to 19. So these are a couple of concepts of economics that we need to understand. That simply means this, that when we consume something, this is the quantity, whatever we like, I don't care what product it is, that as we continue consuming, hold on for a second, my computer is going back and forth. Okay, there it goes. As we consume one burger, I'm getting 10 units of satisfaction. If I consume 2, I'm gonna get 7 more, so now I'm at 17. If I go to 3 burgers, now I am at 20. With 4 burgers, now I'm at 21. So as you can see, total utility is increasing, but it's increasing at a diminishing rate. Then it begins to decrease, and then it begins to actually become negative. And this is simply because there's a law of economics that is called the law of diminishing returns. The law of diminishing returns simply says this, guys, that if we continue consuming the same thing over and over and over and over again, the additional benefit of the additional satisfaction is always decreasing. So my total is increasing, but look at my additional. If I was to create a graph on this, then my utility will be something like this. The first one gave me 10, right here. The second one only gave me 7. The third one only gave me 3. And as you can see, that the marginal utility begins to decrease, and it's possible that it actually becomes negative. Okay, that's laws of economics. So then based on this, then the question is, how do we make decisions? See, this is explain our behavior that we do and also the behavior of companies. Think about this. When you go to a store, the company say, okay, you buy this item, it's going to be for 100%. Let's say it's going to be $50. But if you buy the second unit, that you can buy the second unit for half price, or you'll get a discount for the second unit. Now, why are they willing to give you a discount for the second unit but not for the first one? Well, the answer is because the owner of the store knows that the satisfaction that you're going to get at the second unit is never going to be the same as the first unit. So you're not going to be willing to give the same price. Remember, on the law of demand, this is my demand. At a price of 10, I want to buy 1 unit. But if you want to sell me the second unit, I'm not gonna pay you 10. For the second unit, I'm only willing to pay you $8. Why? Well, the reason is because this second unit is never going to give me the same satisfaction that the first unit gave me. And again, these are principles of economics that we need to understand that actually explain the behavior of individuals, how individuals behave. So let's right here and let's review what we have learned. So I think I need to share my screen. Share my screen right here, and it's gonna be right here. Okay. So this is what we have learned. What are the 4 factors that determine an individual's demand? In other words, when you go to the store, what's going to determine if you're going to buy something or not? Well, it's your taste, your income, the expectations, and the price or availability of other products. So then the more pleasure or satisfaction that I expect to receive, then the more I'll be willing to pay for that product, right? So if I expect to receive a lot of satisfaction from a product, then I'm willing to give, more money for that, right? So then I get pleasure out of consuming products. In economics, we call that utility. So utility is the pleasure or the satisfaction that you obtain from consuming a good or a service. Now, by the way, guys, utility is subjective to the individual. We cannot measure it, but we know it's there. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of how utility works. For example, I can go to the store and I can invite Micah to go with me. We sit at the store, at the restaurant, and we order a steak. We're celebrating, I don't know, something. We're eating steak. So now they bring the food and we ate the food, and after the food, we're having a conversation, drinking coffee, and Micah said, man, my steak was incredibly juicy. It was really, really, really good. I think I'm gonna come back to this restaurant. Then I respond to him. I said, well, mine was kind of dry. I don't know if the 20 bucks that we paid for the steak was actually worth it. I don't even know if I'm going to come back. Now think about this. This steak was cooked by the same chef. It was actually a steak that came from the same cow. It was actually one big steak that he cooked in the same temperature, and he just cut it in half. And he gave half to him and half to me. So there was no difference on the steak. But Micah, in his mind, said this steak is really, really good, and Hasso, in his mind, said this steak was not actually worth the price. And the reason is because pleasure or satisfaction is subject to the individual. We know it can be measured. We know it can be measured, but it's subjective to individuals. So that's something that you need to understand about pleasure or satisfaction. That's why some people are willing to pay higher price for certain things, and you simply say, man, you are crazy, you're stupid. Right? You have any types of friends that buy something in your mind is like, man, this guy is retarded. I mean, there's something wrong with him. Why is he willing to pay that? Let me give you a true example. I had a friend of mine, Ronnie Nabrigot. I have not seen him for probably about 15 years. With Ronnie, we went to school together in high school. And Ronnie became very successful, and he inherited a lot of money. His parents used to own a couple of JCPenney stores or something like that, a retail store, a big retail store. So when his parents died, you know, this guy became very wealthy at the age of 20, 21, right? And then he became successful businessman, and I did not see him for about 6, 7 years. And then later on, at the age of 27, something like that, he was able to find me. I don't know how he found me. So we reconnected again. And I remember this, Ronnie invited me to go to visit him in Austin, Texas. I was living in Dallas at that point. So I went to Austin, Texas, and he picked me up in the airport, and he picked me up on a 911. You know, I said, man, Ronnie, I really like your car. He said, oh, thank you, thank you. I said, you have to see my other cars. And I say, cars? He said, yeah, cars. So let's go to the house. So he went to the house and opened his garage, and he went inside and he showed me another car that he had in his garage. I think it was a Lotus. I said, man, I really like this. He said, yeah, you have to see my cars. I said, your cars? Well, I already see your 911 and you showed me your Lotus. What do you mean other cars? I said, yeah. He said, you know, just put your suitcase in the room you're going to stay in. And after that, we'll go and I'll take you to my garage, to my warehouse. So this guy had a warehouse where he has all his cars. He said, I'm actually have become a collector of cars. I collect cars. So we went with him. We went to this warehouse, right? And he opened the warehouse, and to my surprise, there were like 25 incredibly beautiful, beautiful cars. You know, and I begin to ask him, I said, wow, what is this? Oh, this is a Ferrari. Oh, what is this? Oh, this is a Lamborghini. Oh, what is this? And I asked him, when was the last time you drove this one? Never. How about this one? Never. How about this one? Never. How about this one? Never. So all 20 cars that he got in his garage, he has never drove the cars. And I say, so how did they came over here? So, oh, I just purchased them through auctions, you know, in Las Vegas, and they just, the cars, they are delivered to my warehouse, and I just put them there. They are collections. I said, so do you take the cars to shows? He said, no, I don't take the cars to shows. So then he came to me and said, okay, this guy pays $1 million for a car, and he bring it to his warehouse. I said, do you bring your wife or your girlfriend? I mean, he was single at that point. And you bring your girlfriend here to look at the cars? Or how do you do it? He said, no, I don't bring nobody. I just like to come in the mornings, drink a cup of coffee, and look at my cars. So then I asked him, so is the idea that you want to make money out of this? No. See, I just like to have them. So to me, it's like, man, this guy is crazy. This guy is crazy. He has $10 million in cars in the garage that he doesn't enjoy it, and he doesn't let nobody else to see them. He doesn't drive them. So then my question is, where did this guy got the joy of having those cars in the garage? What do you think? What is the joy? Where did the joy came from? Why would he willing to spend $10 million?
Probably just a status, knowing that he has the cars.
Well, I actually asked him that. I said, so do you tend to brag about that? Show the pictures to your friends? He said, no, As a matter of fact, you're the first person that I ever brought to this garage. I don't want people to see my cars because I'm afraid that they're going to break into my warehouse. I mean, this is a true story, guys. Ronnie Nabrigot in Austin, Texas, collections of cars that he doesn't like to show that he has in his warehouse. See, his joy, according to him, after we had a discussion, was, I can afford this. I am special. I have something that nobody else can have. Okay. Does it make sense? So then he had some pleasure. And the pleasure was, I can afford to buy something that nobody else can do it, or few people can do it, and I can enjoy it just for my own enjoyment. I'm not going to share that enjoyment or looking at the beauty of these cars with no one else. I mean, in my eyes, this guy is crazy. I mean, I think he's crazy. But the reality is, no, it's not crazy. He's just, that's who he is. He gets pleasure, he gets satisfaction out of doing something that probably some of us will not do that. I mean, if I have cars like that, I'll be driving them around town, you know, so people can see me, you know. And again, that's different personalities or different individuals. Okay, any questions or comments? So then, when we consume something, we get utility. And we know that there's something about utility. And what we know about utility is that the additional pleasure that we get out of the consumption of something begins to decrease as we consume more. My total utility is the total pleasure that I'm getting out of the consumption. But the marginal is the additional utility. The additional utility is the marginal utility that we get. And again, there's a law of economics that is called the law of diminishing marginal utility, which simply means that the more you consume, the less pleasure or satisfaction you're going to get. Let me give you an example. How much pleasure or satisfaction you will get out of a slice of pizza? Well, it depends. If I'm hungry, I'm going to get a lot of what? A lot of satisfaction. Well, you eat a slice of pizza. How much satisfaction you're going to get for the second slice? Well, it's going to be less than the first one. How about for the next slice? Well, the additional quantities are going to yield a smaller and smaller increments of satisfaction. Look, if you come to a restaurant, a pizza place, and you can buy pizzas for $1 a slice, how many slices will you eat? Alex, are you there?
Yeah.
How many slices of pizza will you eat if you're hungry if the price is $1?
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3?
It's only $1.
Yeah, it's only $1. Okay, anybody else? 4 or 5? Yeah, probably some of you guys will have no problem eating 4 or 5 slices of pizza. I mean, I remember when I was your age, I used to enjoy eating a whole large pizza by myself. You know, I was 18, 19. It's like, man, I can burn all these calories. And I will order a large, you know, super supreme or a large meat lovers from Pizza Hut and eat it by myself. You know, I used to run. I used to play soccer. So, you know, I used to burn that. Now, if I eat a pizza now, I'll probably gain 10 pounds after I finish eating. Okay, so you say, okay, I'll eat X numbers. What will happen if now the price is 2? Alex, will you still eat 3 slices?
No, maybe just 1.
You're probably 1 or probably 2 because now the price is higher. Now, how about if I invite you guys into my house and say, hey guys, I'm having pizza. Just eat as much as you want. How many slices of pizza are you going to eat? How many slices of pizza, Chan, will you eat?
Probably like 5.
Why not 6?
It depends on how big the slices are.
They're big. They're good. Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So when,
yeah, why
when
not? Why not more?
Yeah,
Because you get tired of it after a while.
Nathaniel, when will you stop eating free pizza? Nathaniel, you come into my house. I'm serving pizzas. When are you going to stop eating slices of pizza?
When you give me a weird look?
No. There's no weird looks. As a matter of fact, I was expecting 20 people and only the 3 of you show. So now we have boxes and boxes of pizza. We have 10 boxes of pizza and there's only the 4 of you. So there will be no weird looks. I want you to eat as much as you want.
I'd probably take some home.
Okay, so say, hey, how I'm gonna eat eggs and can I take a couple of slices? Okay, no big deal. But let's talk about at this point, how many slices would you eat?
Probably
3,
5 or
4,
6.
5, 6.
5 or 6, yeah.
So when are you going to stop eating the pizzas? Makea?
When it starts to hurt.
Ah,
Yeah. When
you
an
stay
extra
closer?
would be a negative experience.
Ah, when my stomach begin to hurt. Right? When it's like, oh my God, I cannot handle it anymore. I have to stop right here. Right? So that's how consumers behave. They reach a point in which it makes absolutely no sense to continue consuming that product simply because they get no satisfaction. Okay? So again, we're trying to understand the laws of economics and how consumers behave. Right? So if it was free, I will stop eating until I get no satisfaction out of the last slide. So then, as you can see, my satisfaction is always increasing for consuming something, but it's increasing at a diminishing rate. Like on this case, for example, this is boxes of popcorn. One box will give me 20 units of satisfaction. The second one will only give me 15 more, and then 9 more, and then 5 more, and then 1 more. Then after that, if I eat more than 6 boxes of popcorn, you know, I'm going to start getting sick and there will be no satisfaction right here. So total increases as long as the marginal is still positive. Once the marginal becomes negative, then your utility begins to decrease. So then as long as marginal utility is greater than 0, total utility increases, okay? So then the more utility you expect to receive out of a product, the more you will be willing to pay, and vice versa. Think about this. How much utility you expect to receive out of, for example, a steak and lobster plate? I don't know, any of you steak and lobster? I am that kind of guy. I like steak and I like lobster. I don't buy them very often because it's too expensive. In most cases, I just eat the steak, forget about the lobster. I cannot afford the lobster. Let me go with the steak. Okay? So then, because I know that the steak in my mind is going to give me a lot of satisfaction, I'm willing to pay a higher price. Right? Now, a cheeseburger from Crystals is going to give me some pleasure. It's going to give me some satisfaction. Or a bean burrito from Taco Bell is also going to give me, you know, a small satisfaction and a lot of gas. You know, so then, as a joke, guys. So then the bean burrito from Taco Bell, I will never be willing to pay $5 for a burrito. You know, I will not be willing to pay $3. 2, well, maybe. Less than 2, yeah, I will buy it. Why? Because I don't expect to get a lot of satisfaction out of a bean burrito. On the other hand, I expect to get a lot of satisfaction out of a steak, so then I'm willing to pay a higher price. So again, this explains our behavior in relationship to the law of demand. We simply say that in a given time period, right, when the prices go up, then we simply buy less. Right? And again, we already know this, how the demand behaves. And the reason is because the more units that I consume, the less satisfaction I'm getting. So I'm not going to be willing to pay you a higher price for this product when I know it's going to give me less and less and less satisfaction, right? So then the demand in the market is determined by all the participants. For example, let's assume that Nathaniel and Alex and John, have different consumption. One of you is buying 3, the other one is buying 3, and the other one is buying 4. So then how much is the market demand? Well, at this point, it's 3 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. So then the market demand is the sum of everybody buying that specific product. And again, different products by different people buy different products because of different reasons. Some of them have limited budgets. Some of them have higher or lower taste for the product. Some of them have different desires. There's different things going on in their lives at that point. So at the same price, different people buy different quantities, right? So then the market demand is the collective willingness and ability to pay, not just for one person, but for all the participants. Right? So then people that expect to receive a lot of pleasure, satisfaction, they are willing to pay higher prices. but other people, they don't expect to get that satisfaction. So the only way they will buy it is the price actually becomes lower. So then this also explains the benefits of the market, how the market actually works. Look at this. This is an individual. This is an individual. Let's say this is me. At a price of 20, I'm only want to buy 2 units. At a price of 18, I'm willing to buy 3 units. At a price of 16, I'm willing to buy 4 units. And at a price of 14, I'm willing to buy 5 units. Okay, this is me. Now let's assume that this is the actual supply in the market right there. So now the market determines the price, supply and demand. So as you can see, the price is going to end up being $18. Okay, so how many units am I going to buy at a price of $18?
3.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up buying 3. But look at this. Let me just add something here. Look at this. How much was I willing to pay for the first unit? Look at this. On this case, for the first unit, I was willing to pay 21. How much was I willing to pay for the second unit? I was willing to pay $20. How much did I end up paying for the 3 items? $18. So as you can see, the market allowed me to be able to buy all the products at a price lower than what I was willing to pay, with the exception of the last unit. So then the market creates a benefit. On this case, all this right here is the benefit that the consumer receives as a result of the market interaction. And that is what is called consumer surplus. See, that's the beauty of the market, that it actually brings me a surplus, a benefit, which simply means that I always end up paying less than what I'm willing if we let the forces of the market to interact. But now look at the producer. Look at the producer. How much was the producer willing to sell the first unit for? Let me change my pen right here. And as you can see, the producer was willing to sell you 1 unit for $14. He was willing to sell you 2 units for $16. But he ended up selling you all 3 units for $18. So then, as you can see, the producer also got a benefit. And this is the benefit that he was able to get. He was able to sell all the items at a price higher than what he was willing to sell. So all this is the benefit that the producer received, and that's what is called the producer surplus. In other words, the market itself determines prices. But as a whole, there's a lot of individuals that they always end up buying the product at a price cheaper than what they were willing to pay. And think about you guys. Think about you. Think about the last thing you consume. Any of you give me an example? What was the last thing that you purchased?
I just bought a new computer.
Okay, how much did you pay for it?
It's a desktop. It was probably about $1,500.
Okay, you paid $1,600 for a desktop, and you are very happy because it's working perfectly.
Yes.
Okay, did you purchase at a good price? And you say yes. How do I know you purchased at a good price? Because you purchased it. You paid $1,600. Was $1,600 was the maximum? Probably not. Probably if it was $6,050, you would still have purchased it. Probably if it was $1,700, you still have purchased it, but you end up paying only $1,600. So I know that you pay exactly the maximum you are willing to pay or less than the maximum. Think about it. You will never buy an item at a price higher than the maximum you're willing to pay. You know, with Mr. Hassel, how about if I have no choice? Well, you have no choice, right? You still pay the maximum you're willing to. Let me give you an explanation so you can understand how this works. You're driving to see your parents, you know, from one city to another city, and on your way there, you have a flat. You open the trunk to get your spare tire, and you realize you don't have no spare tire. Now, you have a problem, right? While you're trying to figure out what you're going to do, a tow truck stops by and tells you, hey, what's the problem? You explain the situation. The guy says, well, I can fix your tire, but I want to charge you $60. Okay, you have the choice. Will you pay $60? I don't know. Probably it's too high, but if he's going to fix my problem, I'll pay $60. He say, look, I can fix it, but I'm going to charge you $500. What will you say? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll solve my problem later. Now, same scenario, but now things change. Your car broke down on a bad part of town, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And now you begin to see people looking at you like, this guy is an easy prey, and you're afraid they're going to rob you. The same scenario, the guy comes by and say, I can fix it for you, and it's going to cost you $500. Chances are you're going to say, go for it. Fix it. I need to get out of here. So as you can see, the maximum price we're willing to pay for something depends in a lot of factors. In some cases, the circumstances, my expectations, my fear, my desire. So remember, in economics, we are making the assumption that we're dealing with rational people. And who are the rational people? They are people that always want to maximize what is good for them and minimize what is bad. Okay? So guys, let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. So then what I was telling you, the last thing that I was telling you is that in every time we engage in a transaction, we always get a benefit because we usually tend to pay less than what we were willing to pay, right? So the difference between what we pay and what we were willing to pay is called the consumer surplus. And for the producer, is the difference between what they received and what they were willing to pay, and that's the producer surplus. Okay, look at this guy right here. Fred is willing to pay $1 million for this supercar. Michael is $950,000, who is willing to pay $900,000, and Carlos is $845,000. So now let's assume that for some reason the car end up selling at $845,000. The dealership introduced the car at $845,000. So as you can see, Carlos was able to buy the car exactly at the price he was willing to pay. John is not going to be able to buy this car because he was only willing to pay $800,000 and the price was $845,500. But look on the other hand, what happened to Fred? I mean, Fred got a steal because he was willing to pay $1 million for this car and only paid $845,000. So as you can see, the difference between what these individuals were willing to pay and what they actually end up paying is called the consumer surplus, right? So now, can it be possible for a company to make more money than selling these 3 items for $845,000? And the answer is yes. If a company can discriminate and find out, okay, who is willing to pay $1 million, right? And if they're able to discover that there's a guy over there by the name of Fred that he's willing to pay $1 million, then the company will try to sell that car to Fred for $1 million. Then they find out that Michael is willing to pay $850,000, so they will sell this for $850,000. And they know that Hua is willing to pay $900,000, so they will sell this car for $900,000, and then to the next person at $845,000. And that's what companies do. Companies engage in price discrimination, which simply means they sell the same product to individuals at different price based on how much they are willing to pay. For example, not now because you're not traveling, but in the past, it's not uncommon. Every time you travel on an airplane, it's not uncommon that the person next to you pay totally different price than what you pay. It's possible that you're flying from, let's say, from Atlanta to Dallas, and you pay $260 round trip, and the other guy pay $1,100, and the other guy across the aisle, right, pay $900. Now, why is that the case? Well, because for some reason, when this guy was making the ticket, he needed to go there, and he was willing to pay whatever the price was. For example, on airline tickets, you buy a ticket like within a week, you tend to pay higher prices because the company knows that if you want to buy a ticket within 10 days of the date of travel, you are in desperate need and you will be willing to pay a higher price. And that's what is called price discrimination. If you want to get the best plane deals, you're usually supposed to buy the tickets at least 2 months before. You know, because you still have time to make plans. Okay, so that's what price discrimination is. And how can you do that? Well, you separate the customers based on the perspective of what they think they're going to get, right? Think about, for example, luxury items. Luxury items. I was watching the news yesterday about the new trend that is taking place in South Korea. South Korea opened, and most of the sales has been on the high-end stores. High-end stores. People go out and buy luxury items. I think they have a new name for that. They call revenge purchasing. In revenge, you know, because they have not been able to buy for 2 months, and now these South Koreans, specifically the young girls, are going to these high-end stores to buy expensive purses. Now, they are willing to pay $1,000 for a purse. Well, that same purse in the United States will probably go to $500. Why? Well, because the people in South Korea, they were willing to pay $1,000, right? And they know that people in the United States, they have more choices. So then there's no way they can sell the same product for the same price than in South Korea. And again, that's price discrimination. Think about textbooks. You know, the books that you buy for college in the United States, you know, they cost X amount of price, but in other countries, in India, for example, I don't know if you know this, but in India, the education is also in English. And they use the same textbooks that we use. But because the income disparity is different, then in India, the price of textbooks are actually cheaper than the same textbooks here in the United States. The same thing goes with drugs, medications. The United States is the country in which we pay very high price for medications. And that's why a lot of Americans are moving in, they're going to Mexico, they're going to Canada to buy the same drugs at a fraction of how much it will cost in the United States. Again, that's what companies do, and that's price discrimination. So then price discrimination works when the consumers do not have perfect information. In other words, if you have no idea that it is different in another state, then it will work. But if you know that it's different, you know, then that price discrimination will not be able to take place. Think about how, with the use of technology, you know, being able to do searches, Google searches. I mean, you always know you're paying a good price for something regardless of where you are. Now, every time I want to buy something, I always go and do a Google search. You know, like my last car that I purchased, you know, I did a Google search. And I went to the guy and said, hey, I like your price. However, let me give you the list of these 3 other companies. There's 2 other cars, one in Miami, one in Atlanta, and one in California. I said, I'm not going to go to California to buy this car, but I can go to Atlanta and look at it. Same car at this price. You have to match this price. So as you can see, then the dealership is not able to discriminate in price and charge me higher prices because I have a lot of information. And that's why now the price of everything is going down as a result of people being educated. So then when you go to the store, you make choices. Your goal is to maximize your utility. And because of this, then you begin to engage in a behavior in which you allocate your money based on which you believe will give you the best buck for your money. Okay, and let me explain how this works using my other computer. Look at this. The price of a burger is $4. the price of a soft drink is $2. Now, if the burger is going to give you 8 units of satisfaction and the soft drink is going to give you 4 units of satisfaction, then as you can see at this point, you are in consumer equilibrium. So consumer equilibrium is reached when the marginal utility of product A divided by the price of product A is equal to the utility that you're going to get from another product divided by the price of the other product. That's when we call that. That's the way we make decisions, guys. For example, how much are you willing to pay for a car stereo? Well, you're going to make the decision based on the expectations or satisfaction that you're going to get. So individuals reach consumer equilibrium when the price of the item, or better, the satisfaction of that product divided by the price is going to give you the same satisfaction that you will get if you were to spend your money on something else. So think about this. If the price of the burger is 4 and the price of the Coke is 2, and the Coke is going to give you 4 units of satisfaction, but the price of the burger is only going to give you 2 units of satisfaction, then as you can see, you are in consumer, you are in this equilibrium. You're in this equilibrium. In other words, you're spending too much money on this product, and look at the amount of satisfaction that you're getting compared to this one. And this is the example that I was trying to tell you guys. When you go to the store, even if you have money, you buy your main plate, but you don't buy a drink. And the reason you don't buy a drink is because you don't think that drink is worth $3. That the satisfaction you're going to receive will be equal to the price that you're going to pay. Okay? So again, when we make decisions, we rank the satisfaction that we're going to get out of the items. How much satisfaction am I going to get? How much does it cost me? And then we choose the one that's going to give me the greatest satisfaction. What's the, how do you call it? The biggest bang for my buck. This is going to give me 20 units. It only costs me 2, and so on. And again, rational individuals allocate the resources using this strategy. I mean, we don't do mental calculations when we go to the store. We don't begin to add. But in our mind, we simply say, is that really worth it? Is that really worth it? Is that really worth it? And then based on this, then we decide if we want to buy it. Okay? Because our goal is to maximize my utility. That's my goal. I want to maximize pleasure or my satisfaction. So then my optimal consumption is always going to be where the marginal utility of product X divided by the price of product X is equal to the marginal utility of product Y divided by the price of product Y, which simply means that the utility that I'm going to get of a product divided by its price is going to be equal to the utility of a second product divided by its price. That's consumer equilibrium. I mean, we don't do these calculations, right? But we do take into consideration the satisfaction that we're going to expect. So then many marketers, many businesses, they try to promote their product to make you believe that you're going to get a bigger satisfaction. And if you expect to get a bigger satisfaction, then you're willing to pay a higher price. Think about the guy that buys an expensive, let's say an expensive supercar. You know, a Ferrari, $400,000. Why did he pay $400,000? Because the car goes to 200 miles an hour? No, it doesn't really matter how fast the car goes. You can only go 60 or 70 in the United States. So that's not the reason. The reason is because you believe that the prestige that car is going to bring to your life is worth the amount of money you're going to pay. People are going to know that I'm loaded. They're going to know that I'm successful. People are going to know that I have discretionary income. And that's how people do. Think about people that buy lottery, you know, that 6, 7, 8, 10 carat diamond rings. It's just nothing more than bragging rights, right? So then by trial and error, we adjust our behavior until we believe that we have received the optimal amount. And this is the end of the chapter, guys. This is the end of the chapter. So